The vital statistics for this year's True Value Open: $150,000, 160 players went to the field, almost a 210 average for 48th place in the money, 213 to make the top 24. And here's how some of the other players finished. Roth, Dick Weber, real close. Bobby Knippel, we saw him in an earlier telecast. Alvin Liu back up there. Lefty Steve Westberg, Pete Couture, Charlie Tapp, the highest average player on the tour so far this year. Wayne Webb had a 300. Steve Martin steady. Tommy Laskow steady. Gil Sliker up there, 16th place. Sam Zurich, Reiniger up there. We've seen him twice. Bellinger up there. Danny Hamilton making a cameo appearance. Sam Flanagan steady as ever. Steve Wunderlich from St. Louis, a 300 again this week. Bill Spigner and Ed Martin round out the top 24, Chris.
Now the young man that has a 249 average in 2 games here in Peoria, Illinois. Pete Weber goes against 32-year-old Art Trask, a winner this year at the Quaker State Open, Grand Prairie, Texas. Defeated Mark Roth in the finals, and coming into that he had 4 career second-place finishes. Finished second overall in this, the True Value Open, and shooting first will be Weber.
One time, Pete, one time!
Ooh, solid 10.
The first tap he's had so far in the championship round today. And it's interesting, Chris, the psychology of some of these players allowing somebody like Pete Weber, who's so hot, to finish on the right-hand lane again. The higher finisher in the 42 game tournament is Art Trask, and yet I think after seeing how hot young Weber is, would make him finish on the left-hand lane. There must be something going through his mind.
All right, it's a spare for Pete Weber, who had 10 strikes in his 277 to 175 win over Bob Handley. Now, from Fresno, California, 6th on the money list. Look how he puts that ball up there and looks down at that spot. Oh, I would think that's almost perfection.
Classic style. He's so well trained. He's had 8 years experience on the Pro Tour. He's learned his lessons well. And he's red hot, Chris. He won there in Dallas, Texas. And once a player with a methodic style like Art Trask gets hot, gets loose, as we say out here, they can be very, very tough to beat.
Father of 2, 5'9", powerful frame, 165-pounder. The challenge is out now for Pete Weber. Trask with a double. Here's the second strike.
Powerful strike. Watch the 5-pin go straight back, almost chop off the 8. In fact, the ball nicks it and gets it. He knew he threw a great shot there. That brought him up to his feet.
Now the young man who weighs 30 pounds less. Pete Weber on the right lane, spare working. High hit in the 4-6.
Big tonk right through the center. We've said there's some hazards, as Bob Handley proved, of the big hook ball. Here's one of them. When you go high, it's breaking through so sharply, you have very little chance of breaking up the splits. A lot of speed.
Tell you, Bo, the only thing that knocked those two down is a D10 Caterpillar made right here in Peoria. Pressure is really on. Drew open frame, now shooting in the 3rd. Okay, how they rebound after an open frame. Art Trask. Double up. A 3-bagger for Trask.
Art Trask, watch this release. His hand stays right behind the ball, and he lifts up through it with that wrist. Now see, that thumb is at about 12 o'clock. The finger's slightly on the side, and straight up with that wrist rotating through the ball and lifting the ball out on the lane, not bouncing it out. A ball should land on the lane like an airplane, hopefully glides into a runway.
Spoken by a Bonanza pilot.
All my landings weren't quite as good as that ball that Art Trask just rolled on that shot.
Look at that, 4-bagger. Art Trask is in the 2nd stage of his pro career. He came out and went back to open a pro shop, but came back on tour, and he's doing well. 3rd match will continue after this message. We're in Peoria.
Red-hot Pete Weber trails Art Trask by 43 pins, has a strike working, can cut that lead down to 33 in the fourth frame.
Needs it. Leaving the 3-6.
Peter just not getting that ball as wide as we saw in the earlier matches. He has to get it out by the channel, breaks right through, leaves the 3-6 spare, cross lane. Has to use a little extra speed. It looks like he's tiring a little bit, Chris.
Yes, and he can't let his dauber to get down. Young player, you know, that can happen.
Well, the excitement of that big string, that possible 300 he had in the previous game, really drains a lot from a player.
Okay, in disdain, Pete shoots for, and there's Mom, Juanita Weber. Spare in the fourth frame for her 19-year-old son. Now he'll be shooting in the fifth on the left lane of this championship pair.
Pete Weber is the only son that Dick Weber has never defeated. Son John, who has bowled some on the tour, he beat him in match play. Dick Jr., who is the oldest of the three sons, he's also gone down in defeat to his father. This youngest son, Peter, has never tasted defeat from his father yet.
One time, Pete, bring it in!
All right, the young man that had 10 strikes in the previous game gets his second through 5 frames.
Has the left lane zeroed. He has been in the pocket every time. Got one solid 10 and 2 strikes. If he can conquer the right lane once again, he can give Art Trask a match.
And Art has 4 in a row. This is a 5th frame. Gets them all, 5 in a row for 32-year-old Art Trask of Fresno, California. Earlier we asked Art why it took him 8 years to really blossom as a star professional.
I think perseverance has been the key. Bowling on the tour is a learning experience. It's taken quite a number of years to get everything put together, and if things keep going the way they've been going so far this year, I'm looking for bigger and better things.
Well, he's earned $22,000. Coming into this, the winner today will get a ton of money. Halfway with 6 in a row, which Art Trask's opponent enjoyed in the previous game in his 277 to 175 win over Bob Handley. Pete Weber, at whom we're looking, defeated Kevin Gillette in the first game, 222 to 195.
Peter had 8 strikes in a row in the last game. If he can finish this game with 8 strikes in a row, he'll have a 247. That's right about the pace that Trask is going in the early going.
One time, Pete, one time!
Just didn't come up, leaving the 2-4.
Pete Weber, with that high backswing, has to use a lot of approach, and so he starts all the way at the end, 17-foot, 5-step delivery, 1 step over the other, then a good knee bend and slide, and that power lift.
All right, 87 through the 5th, the spare up in the 6th.
Almost the unusual, that big hook. You'd never think you could chop the 2 off the 4. A left-hander could do it, but there you see it. He actually cleaned the pin with the 2-pin and just nicked it with the ball. But the situation that young Weber is right now is the best he can shoot is 227. Art Trask is going at a 240-plus pace. So Weber needs a lot of strikes and disaster to strike Art Trask to stay in the match.
Bring it, Pete!
Well, now, all sorts of things are happening to Pete Weber, who's won 2 games, 2-4-5 now here on the left lane.
He's in the same situation that Bob Handley was. His wife, Dee Dee, can kind of tell the score. Her face tells the score better than the scoreboard. That the opponent is striking, there's no way to stop him, and you're having trouble. You sit down and watch and just see what happens.
In the $150,000 purse today, the winner will get 27, the runner-up 14. And the loser of this match will get $8,500. Bob Handley earned $7,000 today, and Kevin Gillette $6,000. Seventh frame. Seven in a row. It's a hot pair. First for Weber, now for Trask. A profile replay.
Just like a textbook, Art Trask with that solid push away starts moving the ball slightly on the first step, but has actually a 4-step delivery, medium-high backswing, and this is the toughest type of player to beat in match play when they're hot. See how his foot slides perpendicular to the foul line, directly in line with his target. The reason a precision player like this is so tough is when they're relaxed, they don't make the big mistakes that, say, a Bob Handley might make. And they can get just as many strikes with that style.
8th frame.
One time, Art! Bring it!
8 in a row, 4 to go.
No doubt about this one. 10 in the pit. Trask has got it going. 8 in a row. Beautiful.
And now Pete Weber, who had 8 in a row in the previous game. 8th frame. 6 pin. That's a helpless feeling, though.
Well, he's had a good run today. He's going to make a really good paycheck for sure, 3rd place. But, you know, the experience he gets is he's going to win a lot of tournaments. He's getting a baptism of fire, and he gave some other players a fit today also.
All right, an 8th frame spare for Pete Weber, trailing by 87 because he's bowling Art Trask, who has 8 in a row. We're in our semifinal game. There's Art.
Remember how dominant Trask was in the Quaker State Open in Texas, Chris? He shot 250 against Roth, just wiping him out, and actually had Mal Acosta beat by 60 pins going into the final frame before he opened, so he's really been hot.
Well, 1, 2, 6, 10.
Peter let some of his personality come through on this one. Here's an unusual hit. Only the big crankers can actually get this hit, where the ball is cut breaking so sharply it can cut between the 1 and 6 and take out the 3. A normal ball would deflect and take out the 6 pin and leave a washout.
Well, chopping the 2 off. The old adage, show me a man that likes to lose, and I'll show you a man that's letting his team down. Pete hates to lose.
Art Trask is the story. We had Pete Weber with 8 in a row last game before he came off with a 4-pin. Art Trask is now in that position, 8 in a row to start the first game that he's played.
Right lane. Nope. And the middle pin, the 5. So, like Pete Weber, string ending. At 8, however, he has a 103 pin lead, 209 through the 7th.
The capacity crowd, I thought, might have a 300 game. In fact, our tournament leader coming up, Al Stoneham, who has never won before, rolled a perfect game on this pair of lanes in the qualifying. So we can look for some big scores. Trask wide, just sends the head pin to the sideboard. Hopefully, if he got a good break, he could have tripped the 2-4-5 out. Watch what's left. Now, the head pin can do a little more damage, has a little more speed. He might have gotten a break and get what we call the trip 2 forward into the 5. But no such luck. A good run, 8 great shots, and just a little wide in the 9th. He has this match well in hand.
Bring it in, Art! Bring it in!
So now the fans are beginning to pick up on the name of Art Trask and are cheering him on. And of course, he is the winner of our semi-final match, and that means that Art Trask will go against Al Stoneham. Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message from one of our sponsors and Station ID. Graphically, the story of today's competition. A 27-pin victory by Weber, 102-pin victory by Weber. Trask comes out of the wings and comes up with a 103-pin victory over Weber.